Hello, peaceful world. Here is another update from Ukraine. From a perspective of a citizen, a young mom, and her precious war baby who is now sleeping right here in front of me. And I hope she will continue to do so because apparently Mia is on a one nap schedule now, which happened kind of in one day. Just today, she decided not to sleep when she was supposed to sleep. So, anyhow, I do not know if this transition is for good or just for today. I was looking forward to it actually. It just happened so unexpectedly, but anyway, today is not about that. Today is a continuation of me reminiscing about my pregnancy and all of that. And the topic of today's video is what went wrong and what went right during my pregnancy and giving birth. So let's begin. What went wrong? Obviously, the war and the stress caused by it, as well as many other things that were just impossible to do as planned, as wanted. So the stress. And if you've ever been pregnant, or even if you're just a regular human being and you Google what's important for your health, for your well being, they always tell you and they always highlight it as the most important factor when you're pregnant, that you should avoid stress. And whenever I read this recommendation, I wanted to scream at the faces of those people because I was living in Ukraine and stress was life. Stress is still live here. So that went wrong, a lot of stress. What else? In the previous video, I mentioned it, but now it will make more sense. At the very beginning of my pregnancy, when I did not know that I was pregnant, I ate a ton of rare meat because I like my steaks medium rare, and I just happened to be in Lviv, in the best steakhouse in Ukraine, in my opinion. And I ate, I don't know, a couple of steaks a day, as well as other kinds of rare meat. So rare meat, rare meat. Uh, there are various dietary recommendations for ladies who are expecting, but the science and all the doctors agree on this one. You should not eat rare meat. I did a lot. Another thing you're not supposed to do is lift and carry heavy stuff. And that's exactly what I was doing at the very early term because I did not know that I was pregnant yet. And I was just carrying Charlie back and forth, back there in Lviv in the most vulnerable period, in the least suitable period for doing so. And I actually continued doing it until almost the third trimester just because I was feeling good. It was not wise, and my husband was very angry at me. But again, I listened to my body, and at the time, Charlie was my baby. He still is in many ways, more of a caretaker now. But yeah, so carrying and lifting heavy things, that was very dangerous, but I did it, and I was very lucky for it not to, meddle with things taking place in my body unknown to me. What else went wrong? Other dietary mm, moments, like it is also not advised to eat sushi, but with pregnancy or without, I always crave sushi. I love sushi. And in case I am sick, it is always the only thing that I can eat and that I want to eat. Even recently, when I had that food poisoning or rotavirus, whatever it was, the only thing that did not like block my throat from disgust was sushi. So when I was pregnant, I was eating sushi, and they say like, okay, if you do want to eat sushi really badly, just make sure you do it in a reputable place that you trust. And there was a war in the country. I could not be in these reputable places. Many of them were closed, and I had this. I did not have too many food cravings or too many food aversions. It was not extreme as it is shown in movies or in some stories, but I did want sushi really badly. And the very first sushi during the war happened in a very small town near Kiev. It's not close to the sea. It's not some famous or fancy place. It was, I don't know, like a very scary sushi place. And Usman hated the idea, but it was hard to argue with me. And we took the risk and we ate those sushi and we survived. And it was okay. It was not the best sushi in my life, but I just needed to quench that thirst. I did it and I felt better. So that is another unwise thing that was done during the pregnancy. Yeah, another thing that went wrong, actually had COVID right before the war. 2 weeks before the war, we got COVID. It was not severe, thanks God. I had a fever for a couple of days. I took ibuprofen, not too much, like 1 or 2 pills when I was feeling really badly. So that was also not ideal. The thing was um, scary at the time, and nobody knew what to expect. And just one more thing that went wrong during my pregnancy. What else? As a consequence of the war, the maternity home I was dreaming to give birth in was closed right before my due date, and it was a shock. I was just a wreck when I found out, because there aren't too many maternity homes to choose from, especially considering the fact my needs. And my primary need was to be close to my dogs, because I wanted much. I wanted a lot. I am a demanding lady. So, on the one hand, I wanted man to be with me at all times. I wanted him to be in the hospital with me, to be present at birth, to live in the ward with me. And I also wanted him to walk the dogs, because I do not trust other people. Well, again, as a consequence of the war, the person who I wanted to ask for help was out of Ukraine. She is still, Marina, love you. And that was the only person who could help us, because it's my best friend. She loves me. I love her. And like, she gets my dogs and their quirks and their madness. It is not a problem for her. And she just knows how to do stuff. She loves animals. But again, she was out. And without her, there was nobody else really. Not our relatives. Like, my dogs are a lot to handle. I realized that it is my responsibility, and I wanted it to remain our responsibility even in this vulnerable state. And yeah, so I did not have a lot to choose from. I could either go to a very nice maternity home of my dreams, which is like an hour ride from my home. It's too far. I realized that. Or I could choose the government one in my neighborhood, which is like a 10-15 minute ride by car. And I chose that one. And well, I have very mixed feelings about this establishment. And I will share why. I will start sharing now, and then we'll see how my story is gonna be. So we went there for this welcome introductory visit, and I absolutely liked what I saw. What I liked. The information they shared, the philosophy they tried to create was all very reasonable, modern, um, logical, fair. It was good. The way they describe the attitude to breastfeeding and how they take care of newborns, everything seemed to be the same way it is done in all of these private hospitals where my friends gave birth. And it calmed me down, and I was very happy. Another thing I liked is the the room where I was supposed to stay. You can stay in this like free of charge room, or you can pay for a separate ward, but you can't really call it a ward because it looks like a very nice hotel room. And you have your own fridge, microwave, bathroom, an amazing bed, TV, I don't know, like whatever you want. It's just like a very good hotel room, and we were willing to pay for this, accommodation, to be comfortable, to be away from other people in this, very important first days with our baby. And that's how the choice was made. But in the end, they're all fucking liars, and they sell good, but that's not what they provide. So anyhow, let's jump to the story of giving birth, starting with my due date. Uh, Somehow my due date was calculated differently. I don't know. So I had two due dates. The first one was the 27th of August, and I did not feel anything special. We spent the day roaming this neighborhood all day long. It was very hot. It was like plus 30, but again, I loved walking. I dreaded nights because of my backache. I basically stopped sleeping, not even with my baby, but before she was born, like at the end of my second trimester, sleep was out the window. I could not. It was so painful. It was awful. So yeah, we spent the first due date walking in the heat. I was all cute, with my bump, and it was some event day in Pokemon Go, so we were catching Pokemons, doing a lot of raids. I will not go into detail, but it was an amazing day. Also, we got two of my favorite plants that day, myrtle plants. It was also our little anniversary, like 15 years and 2 months of us being together. So it was a lovely, lovely day. But the baby didn't come out. The second due date was the 5th of September, I think, but my gynecologist told me that I needed to go to be admitted to the hospital. Let me remember. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She wanted me to be admitted on the 1st of September. And here is why. She told me, okay, you're gonna be 41 weeks on the 4th or the 3rd. On the 3rd, yes. The 3rd of September is a Saturday. And then that's what she said. You do not want to get to a doctor on call on a Saturday, because all the good doctors try to never take weekend shifts. They try to take their weekends free. So you need to go to get to a doctor on call, because I did not know any doctors and I did not want to make any contracts, because anyway I did not know with whom. I just wanted the on-call doctor. And she said, you should not come there on a Saturday because only idiots work on a Saturday. And you should not go there on a Friday because Friday is always a bureaucracy mass day in the government hospital. So you should go there on Thursday, which was, the 2nd of September. And I was like, ugh, if I feel good and there are no signs of a baby's arrival, can you please go to the hospital on the 5th? And she was like, why wait, woman? Like, crazy? Well, what's holding you up? And I was like, well, I have this studies. I'm studying psychology, and it starts on the 3rd. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, ideally, I would like to be studying, because this is actually going to be like the last piece of this course, and I don't want to miss it. I do not want to do it with some other people. And she was like, well, I guess if you're feeling absolutely fine, and I was feeling absolutely fine, then okay, wait, but, fucking asshole. I hate this, motorcycles. Uh, so she allowed me to do it, being very careful and worried and attentive to my body, my needs, and what was happening. So that's how I postponed my giving birth, and that's how cooperative my baby was, because she did allow me to complete my studies. I'm very thankful for that. So when I was studying, I had my maternity home bag right behind me, and my group mates could see it and they laughed, because Gestalt is in Mia's blood now. We were doing it together. We're still doing it together all the time. So that was funny right before giving birth. And then that day arrived, the 5th of September. I came to the hospital with a maternity bag, and I said, "Oh, well, my gynecologist told me to come if labor does not start, and it hasn't. So would you please check me out?" And they said that I was kind of late. Why was I waiting? And I was like, "Oh, I was studying." And they were like, "Haha." So again, it was very funny. And I entered the room, the exam room, and there was this mature woman, a doctor on call. And she asked me if it was okay if her student was present and did the exam, because it is a learning opportunity. And as a teacher, I was just very inspired by this situation. Like, sure, not only am I a teacher, but also my vagina is going to teach somebody. So that's amazing. I could not lose that opportunity. And I said, sure, yeah, go ahead, do what you have to do. And at first, the real doctor checked me out, and she was all mysterious. She did not comment on what she discovered. She just said, like, uh-huh. And then the students started digging in me and saying, like, "I don't know, I don't feel anything. Like, there is nothing special. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to feel?" And the doctor said, "There is something very, very special. There is something very, very interesting. Just keep digging. You keep digging, you're gonna find it. Be brave. Don't be afraid to hurt you." And I was like, "Wow, wow, 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 wow. I'm right here, woman." So eventually, the student did kind of felt something. But she was not as sure as the doctor, and all of that took a very long time for me, because I saw that the doctor had a conclusion, most likely of some upcoming labor. Yet I was lying there and I was not given this information. I was just waiting for the student to figure things out. It all ended, and the doctor finally started talking to me, and she said, "Well, don't you think it's time to finally give birth?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do that. I just don't know how, when, what to do." And she said, "Well, you're 3 centimeters dilated, so the process has already started and you're about to give birth." And I was like, "Woo, so where do we go now?" She's like, well, you are dilated. The labor is not in its active phase. We should still wait. I would like to admit you to the hospital so that we do some tests, and the tests are done in the early morning. And because of the bureaucracy madness, it's best if you stay here overnight, and we'll do the tests in the morning, and this way it will be faster and easier, because of bureaucracy. And it was morning. And I was like, "What, overnight? It's only morning." And so I did not feel like I wanted to spend the entire day and night in the hospital. I came to Shman, I shared, the news. He was all wow, 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 excited. And then he spent a day with me refusing to go to the hospital, because he wanted just to drop me off there. That's it, and forget about it. And probably sigh with relief that he's a immensely pregnant woman who is already even dilated is in good hands, or at least in medical hands. We did not know how good they are. And I did not feel like doing that. So we spent the entire day walking again. And I could see that Jimen was really not himself. probably very nervous. Probably he really wanted me in the hospital finally. Maybe he wanted to see his baby finally as well. And he just kept nudging me, like, maybe you should go, just go rest. And I was like, what do you mean rest? I cannot sit, I cannot lay down. And if I go to that hospital, once I enter the ward, I will be tied to bed and it's very painful. So let's keep walking. And we kept walking. There is a forest near the hospital. Then we returned home because I wanted to eat something nice, and I ate something nice. And then at 7ish p.m., he was like, will you just please go to the hospital? And so he brought me to the hospital, dropped me off there, and I was ready to, you know, like sleep basically. I unpacked my stuff, changed my clothing. I had two other girls who were in the same ward. It was not still, the ward for the family that gave birth, but this general ward. And we chatted, and everybody had different stories. They were there for a couple of days, and they expected to give birth in a few days, and so on. I was like, well, I don't know. I just need this test in the morning. They're like, okay, yeah, yeah. So we chatted, and then I felt something kind of strange. At the bottom of my stomach, and there was a round of checks before bedtime. And I shared this with a very young doctor, and he said, okay, then well, let's check you out. And that was the moment when I saw, ouch, that was painful, but I'm glad, did not hit my head or anything. Can we call me lucky? I don't know. So that evening in the exam room, it's me waking up because of the noise of that wrench basically breaking my shoulder. I hope not. She seems to be sleeping. So anyhow, he called the real doctor again, who checked me out and told me that well, the process seems to be going. I was 1 more centimeter dilated. It was already 4, and he said that he expected me to be in the active phase of labor sometime at night. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god, I want my husband to be present. And it was already like 9ish p.m. and we have a curfew in Ukraine, so you must not leave your flat after 11 p.m. I think last year it was also 11. Now it's maybe even midnight, but I think it was 11. And I was like, oh my god, we're short in time. Can I call my husband? Can he come? Can we get checked into this room earlier, even before we get the baby, just for the comfort, because it's going to be hard for him to just come here at night. It's impossible because of the checkpoints and so on. And the doctor said, yeah, sure, call him, let him come. So Usman came, and we got to that nice room, and we went to bed. And at about 3 a.m., I guess, I felt that the pain really intensified, but I was very confused with what I was feeling, um, because of my expectations and my imagination of what contractions mean. So when I heard the word contractions earlier, I imagined something very extreme, like contract. I imagined that like my muscles or something in my stomach should contract so much, like it should be the most unbearable spasm in my life. And I was expecting that, but that was not what was happening. I did not feel this like contraction. What I felt was a wave of pain, right? Like it was kind of gradual, right? Like it was a wave of pain that came and left, came and left, came and left. It was very noticeable, but I could not describe it as a contraction, because in my perception, contraction is something more, is something faster. It's like a lightning, but I did not feel any lightning of pain. I felt waves of pain. So at about 3ish a.m., I called the doctor. He left me his number, and I told him, well, I'm not sure if I'm having contractions, but I'm feeling these waves of pain, and I calculated, the periods, and it is like every 2 3 minutes. I don't remember. It was like pretty often. And he was like, yeah, these are contractions, my dear. You're about to give birth. And I was like, really? Awesome. Let's do that. So they brought us to the giving birth room, and it was also very like nice and lovely. Fortunately, the hospital had been renovated not so long ago, so it did not look scary the way it looked when I was a child, because I have a phobia of doctors. I'm not just picky. And phobia means I hate doctors uncontrollably, and then I apologize and I cry, and it is awful. That's why I feel safer in like hospitals where people are nice. And in private hospitals, people are always nice. They must be. And where everything is clean and it smells good, and usually, this is not government hospitals in Ukraine. Government hospitals in Ukraine are mostly horrific places. But again, this one had been renovated. So all the premises looked fine. Maybe not as good as in the private one, but good enough. So I was there in that room. He checked me out. He said that I was 6 centimeters dilated and my water did not break. And he wanted to break the water. Just because I think this is his procedure. He wants to. He also had another lady giving birth at the same time that night. And I think it's just his way. Like once a woman is some centimeters dilated and her water doesn't break, he just facilitates the process by piercing the amniotic sac. And I do not know if it is right, how perfect it is or not perfect. But I only know that once he did that, real hell began. Because before that, my waves of pain were growing gradually. I had a chance to get used to them. Oh, now it's more painful, and now it's even more painful. Now it's even more painful. Okay, but it was very bearable. I was in touch with the world, with this man. Made jokes and so on. But after that, sac piercing, I was out of this world. It was painful. I did not react to anything because man looked very helpless because he tried to ask me like what can I do, what rub you, I don't know, hug you, and I remember this moment when he just looked at me. He's like, honey, I'm completely useless, right? There is nothing I can do, like nothing. And I could not even reply because of the pain, but you girls know how it all goes, or ladies. So that was it. That was it. It was painful. I did not have enough power to push her out, unfortunately, even though she was very small. I was blessed with a very small child, and they needed to cut me to get her out, and that was not painful at all. Like before getting pregnant, I had a horrible fear of giving birth, but when I was already pregnant, I lost the fear of giving birth exactly. Mm, because I wanted to see my baby very much, really, and I did not see labor as some extreme vagina raping horror. But I saw it as the day when I was gonna finally meet my baby and hold my baby and see my baby, and I was really looking forward to it. Oh, you see, I'm about to tear up a little bit because um, it was very special. So I did not have the fear of giving birth exactly. I did really have concerns about this episiotomy, or what is it called when they cut you? I think episiotomy or something like that. I did not want that procedure ideally, but I got it, and I did not feel a thing really. So if you or any of your acquaintances are pregnant and think about these things, it is not a lie. It is not scary. This procedure itself at the moment of giving birth is like nothing, really not felt, because you're uh, focused on other things. Let's put it this way. And yeah, you know, then she came, she arrived, and the funny thing is, actually, that's one of the funniest thing, uh, that we were expecting a boy, actually, Mikhailo. We were expecting a Mikhailo, a Michael. Forgot to mention that. I didn't know where to put it, the things that went wrong or the things that went right during my pregnancy. So I like surprises. As I mentioned, I'm a very adventurous person, in a very safe way without any adrenaline. So I did not want to know the gender of my baby. And once I was getting one of those ultrasounds, and the doctor told me, "Oh, are you sure you don't want to know the gender?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure. Just don't tell me, don't show me." And Sven was out of the room at the time, and she looked at the screen and she said, "Now I can clearly see the gender of your baby." And I was like, "Wow." A lady cannot be that impressed if she sees a vagina. She must be looking at a penis. And after that check, we somehow, were kind of sure that we were expecting a boy. And so everybody was expecting a Mikhailo. And my brother-in-law, my mother's man's mom's man, we were talking to Mikhailo right before giving birth. I told man, like, maybe we should somehow say she, just in case it's a girl. There is a slim chance. And then imagine the surprise, just imagine the surprise when they get me out of me. They get a baby Mikhailo out of me, and say, "Huh, it's a girl." And I remember this man just, grabbing his head like, what? Are you sure? And they were like, "Yeah, look for yourself. It's a girl. It's a little girl." And it was awesome. I don't know. I wanted a surprise. I got a surprise, and it's the best surprise. And actually, Shman always wanted a girl. Like he was very verbal about it. Not that he did not want a boy, not in a bad way, but he mentioned it that he wanted a girl. Like, yeah, of course he's happy to have a boy. And like, the more pregnant I became, the more acceptive he became of the fact that we were about to have a boy. But it ended up being a girl. So our surprise person arrived, surprised us, and made us very, 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 very happy. And I think it's a sweet spot to stop here, because the postpartum story is a different story. The hospital and why I hate it is a different story. So let's end this piece of memories here. Mia arrived. It turned out to be not Mikhailo, and we could not be happier. You know, it was just the best. Yeah, and the best moment for me then, and yet again the best surprise. Uh, I remember when they, got her out and they put it on my chest, and I put my hand on her tiny skull, and she immediately pushed back. Like, she lifted her head. She was lying on her tummy, tummy to tummy, and she just did that and looked at me, and I was just shocked at how strong she was, because she was so small, and I could not even imagine that a tiny human can be so freaking strong. She did it in a very, very strong way, and it was like her, I don't know, fifth second in this world. It was an unbelievable moment for me, and I think it was like the first experience with how strong Mia is, because she is freakishly strong still. And yeah, I would say that she was able to lift her head, to hold her head from the first seconds and days and moments of her life. So yeah, just want to remember that. I do not think I will forget, but just in case, that moment when they put her on my chest and she just, you know, pushed my hand with her head so strongly, and it was just it was just the best, really. So yeah. Another piece. Let me just take a brief. Another thing that I wanted to include in this video is the things that went right during my pregnancy. Number one, the choice of a partner, the choice of my dear husband. Perfect. He was and still is the best husband and father. So I was very lucky there. I was very lucky to make such a wise choice of a partner, and very grateful for having him then, now, and hope to have him forever in my future. But the war can kill us all, as civilians or as militaries. Cannot be too hopeful. Another thing that went right is my gynecologist, the choice of my gynecologist, uh, because she was not fussy at all. She was a very easygoing woman who did not create any problems and did not make any unnecessary prescriptions. And I liked her from the very, very first visit. The very first time I came for a check whether I was pregnant. She asked me, like, why did you come? What's your concern? And I was like, well, I'm maybe pregnant. And her reaction was the following: wonderful, before New Year's. And that was nice. And then when my pregnancy was indeed confirmed, she said this: okay, now you're pregnant. Pregnant does not mean sick. You can do whatever you want. Basically, there are virtually no restrictions as to your diet or activity, of course, within reason. And things can hurt and you will be uncomfortable, and some things will not be possible to do at all, but that's okay, because you're growing a human, and some discomfort is expected, and maybe even a lot of discomfort is expected. Don't go crazy, don't take unnecessary pills. Just chat with me, and if you have doubts, and I will assure you that everything is going fine. But just be ready. Yes, you will be in pain and you will be in some discomfort, and it is absolutely fine. And that's it. Like, whenever he came, I said, you know I'm great, is it okay? She's like, yeah, amazing, let's keep going, good luck, see you next time. And she never created any roller coasters for me. I'm very grateful for her calm support. I may not like her tone of voice, or like, I believe we are different people in terms of some philosophies. Like, but it doesn't matter. As a doctor, I think she did her job just perfectly, by just assisting me and not meddling, not interfering with the process, which was going absolutely fine. So I'm very grateful for her. Natalia Alexeyevna is just, the best. It was a very good experience. What else went right? My genetics. Very lucky with my genetics. Super lucky with my genetics. And it helped me out a lot. That's why I think everything went so well. But again, that's just something to be grateful for. And I'm grateful for my husband, my gynecologist, and my genetics. The things that went right. That's it. Oh my god, I think this is the longest video I have ever made. And I think I could easily make it even longer by just diving even into more detail. But enough is enough. And me, I can wake up any moment now. So yeah, This is it. The magic of birth has happened, and uh, and I'm very happy about it. You know, I'll keep talking about why forever. I mean, for some time, hopefully. So thanks for watching. If you managed to bear it for so long, and I will share some more experience and emotions and tears in one of my next videos. So, see ya.